All right, guys. I just wanted to cover a couple new dapps coming out tomorrow. Um, some of the stuff that's gone on today in risk scores, and that will actually go in on the risk scores. But another dapp that I just want to share my thoughts on. So the first one that's launching, it's in a little over 9.5 hours. I know it's a weird time. It's not going to be like on the hour. It's gonna be like 40 something minutes, 47 minutes after the hour, which is just a very different time. This one, Stakr Cafe, it's very different. Well, it's not very different. They've just shortened the time frames here. Instead of the 14, 21, 28, they've got 12, 18, and 25. And what I think is going to happen, just like the other ones, after that 12-day lock, we're going to see the balance start to drop, and you might hit the 18. Unlikely you'll see 25. But yeah, this is weird though. I mean, I don't know if they just have a mistake in their calculations here, but if I do 12 days, I get 293%. If I do 25, I get less. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking here. I don't know if this was just a mistake they need to adjust before they launch, but that seems like a mistake to me, because there'd be no reason to do this one or the 12 days. But if that is the case, everybody's going to pile into this thing and then dump as soon as it's over. Yeah, I don't know if they're missing a 1 in front of this one. Anyway, because that's actually comparable to the unlocked. So I think there's an issue there. We can look at the code and see if there's something wrong with that. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot like all those other ones, so I'm not going to go too much detail into this, but we can look at the audit. Oh, yeah, this is one that they don't have an audit yet, so make sure before you deposit anything, make sure you click on that and it's got an audit. Yeah, they don't even have a link to the contract yet. This is actually very typical. Avalanche Fomo that just launched this morning, it did the same thing where it didn't have anything tied to the front end until an hour or two beforehand. So just make sure, if you want to get in on this, like this one or anything, before that timer hits 0, do 2 things. Make sure and click that audit, review that audit, make sure there's no backdoor scripts or scams or anything. This one, I'd add a kind of caveat to check to make sure this is correct, because this doesn't look right. I think it's just because it's not hooked up to the contract yet. I'm not sure. And kind of the last thing to do is click on that contract, make sure there are no early deposits that happen before that timer hits 0. If they do that, then they're letting people in beforehand, and just kind of as an unfair head start. Yeah, Avalanche Fomo actually did that this morning, about 3 or 4 minutes beforehand. They just let people do it, even though they had a timer up saying you couldn't. It was kind of a low thing that they did with that. I've seen other dapps get their audits removed for that, but I don't know. I'm suspecting the FOMO guys are kind of in cahoots with Hayes, because Hayes didn't seem to care, even though Hayes has pulled other audits for dapps doing that. So yeah, it doesn't seem fair to me. Yeah, this one, yeah, same for everything. A 5, 2.5, and a 0.5 on referrals. Yeah, did they even have this linked to anything on Hayes? Nope. So yeah, I think they're doing a lot like other dapps do, and just wait until it's right before launch, before they hook it all up. But make sure and check that stuff out first if you are going to jump into this one. Again, this isn't financial advice. I'm just trying to provide these things to you guys as early as I can. So so just be aware of those. The next one I want to talk about is Stakr. It's just a straight BNB staking dapp, and I don't know if it just went down. Nope, that was me. So yeah, it's just straight BNB. It's like it's almost like a Avalanche Fomo or a Avalanche Stakr or something, but for BNB. Yeah, I don't know. Seems like they did nice with the front end, but I mean that's not entirely what matters. It's nice to see, but yeah, it's the same thing. You know, it starts out with 112%, which basically after taxes usually comes out to like you get like 1 or 2% over 14 days. But yeah, this is the one a lot of people jump into because you can almost double your money in 14 days. But these guys, obviously, I've talked about how risky these things are because as we'll see soon in the risk scores, we can see after this 14 days what can really happen to a balance. Just like the last one we saw, 5, 2.5, and 0.5% on referrals. These guys, I think they have things actually tight, hooked up, where we can see their audit. Yeah, this is all based off of FOMO stuff. It's got that same optimization warning there. Again, guys, this is high risk. And when I say high risk, this is high risk for crypto, which is high risk. So it's like a whole new level of high risk. Everything is paid by deposits of other users. So when the balance gets to 0, it's gone. It's not a rug pull. It's just the way these things work. It's the way it's based on Ponzi-nomics. So just be aware that there's no new value created when you deposit. You're depositing into a pool, and all those rewards come from that pool. So no matter what kind of little sub pools or anything that is created, that's got to come from somewhere. That those funds have to come from somewhere, and it's all from the same pool of money. Yeah, pretty typical project fee of 10%. The investment plans locked and unlocked. A minimum of 0.01 BNB. Yeah, that daily profit that increases 0.5 every day. Just be aware of that. And a 10% tax on withdraw. And just referral stuff. So yeah, pretty typical stuff. Let's have a look at the contract. There's probably not much there. Yeah, when I see this that was created and then transferred to an owner, that means they had a developer do it. This isn't being run by the developer. Yeah, all these things are based off the same code base, so there's nothing crazy about these. Just the variables being set up. See if there's anything crazy in here. Yeah, this is all based on the exact same code base as like Avalanche Fomo and things like that. So nothing too crazy out there about these. Anyway, guys, that is Stakr. It's BNB dapp. That'll be released tomorrow, 16 hours and 45 minutes from now. So yeah, that's the 2 new staking ones that should be released tomorrow. Of course, there might be other ones. I'll link those, and I can make sure and go ahead and go over and follow me on Twitter, because I post dapps that I don't post on YouTube on there. Because there's so many coming out, I just don't have time to create a video for every single one. But I try to post updates on Twitter about what's going on and new dapps that come out, just so you can stay updated. I'm not trying to sell you on any of these. I'm just showing you the information. You can make your own decisions whether you invest or not at all on any of them. It's up to you. All right, so this one is long-term Stakr. I posted this one on Twitter yesterday before it launched. On all the different chains, they like staggered their launch by like 2 hours. And these have been running for a little bit, but as you can see, they're kind of fragmented. I mean, the USDC on the Avalanche network has 167 staked. That's not what's in the balance. It's like 141,000 in the balance. And yeah, as you can see, when these guys launch these things and they do it over multi-chains on the same day, what it does is it just splinters all the investments across the different chains, and there's no focus on one chain. And that really does not help it gain any traction, because they try to add all these up and say total stake value, but these are all on different chains, so there's 4 different contracts. So if USDC on Phantom tanks and goes to 0, that's a totally different pool of money than it is on USDC on Avalanche. So I'm just not a real big fan of when they release these all in one day across these different chains, because it just splinters all of the funds across these networks, and there's no focus on one single chain. I don't know, multi-chain Stakr, I think they kind of saw that, and they've been doing it, spreading them out like 3 or 4 days between them. And I think it really helps get the momentum going on each one before they move on to another one. So that's something to be aware of. I'm not saying 141,000 is bad. Phantom One profit, when they did theirs a month and a half ago, they had a contract balance of about 140 to 180 for like a week and a half, 2 weeks almost, before it started going down with the Phantom stuff. So that's not a bad balance, but I mean, I don't know, I like to have a little more cushion there. If I'm going to get in early, have some more cushion there too, for the balance, because they can drop quick. So that's just my view on this. I don't know. I like the idea because it gives you flexibility, but it just really kills that momentum, that traction on these. I'm not saying this is bad. I mean, I like the idea of it. They're kind of doing the Matic Stakr thing across stable coins across multiple chains, but it's really hard to focus on one of those when you're kind of having them all out there. And I think we kind of saw that with Multimatic, multi-network. They did the same thing with AVAX and Phantom. They didn't both on the same day. I think it would have been better to split them out like 3 or 4 days between them to kind of have the hype between each one. So yeah, those are some of the dapps that this one launched earlier today. Let me drag this one over. The big one that launched today was Avalanche Fomo from the Matic Fomo guys. As you can see, 73,555 in the balance. That's in one day. That eclipsed, I think AVAX Stakr got up to 68,000 in the balance at one time. And I think that was the highest it made it. So I mean, this thing eclipsed AVAX Stakr, and it's only been about 14 hours now. So that's kind of an interesting one. So yeah, that one launched this morning. I can link to that below. But yeah, I'll put a link to all these down below. They are referral links. Use them if you want. That's totally up to you. Again, I'm not providing any financial advice. Do your own research, make your own financial decisions. If you watch some of my past videos, I'm a huge proponent of getting in early as possible. If you're 3 or 4 days in, you're probably 3 or 4 days too late. And you know, I never go for these high ones because the average of these things tells me that you got a pretty slim chance of ever even reaching this, you know, 25 days in, or you know, these 28 days. Sometimes they make them to the 21, but that's a big risk for a little bit more. Well, I say a little bit, you know, 75% more is quite big. But if this one is, you know, a fraction of the risk, and you can double your money in 2 weeks, you know, if you keep doubling your money every 2 weeks, then that's outstanding. Anyway, guys, with that, let's move on to all the risk scores. These top ones have really changed a lot in the last 48 hours. I think it's been a little more than 48 hours since I did this. You know, right here, I can tell you right now, both of these are 10 and probably 1 on both of those. Multimatic made it past the 21 days. Stakr has made it past that 14 days, and then it started dropping. In the last little bit, it's dropped quite a bit. So I can show you what the balances are. Let's go ahead and... Sorry, I just need to change my network. So since we did a video last a little more than 48 hours ago, this was at 1,150,000, and just like that, we are down to 94,911. Yeah, so it's dropped $1 million, or a million Matic. Sorry, that's more than $1 million. So I mean that shows you how fast these can drop. AVAX Stakr was at 63,000, 96. Where's that? And right now it's at 63,000. We are at 11,439. So you can see these two ones that have been around, you know, we're right at the average right now with this one, and we're over the average with this one, and you can see they just dropped. And this is with no help of, you know, a withdraw, backdoor, or anything. That's the way these things happen. As soon as those first ones unlock, the balance starts dropping. People see the balance drop, and then as soon as theirs unlocks, they, you know, withdraw as well. It takes a lot of reinvestment. I can do a video on this to sustain one of these. You have to reinvest all of your profit and also a good portion of your initial investment to sustain these, and that has to be the majority of people that are invested. So just keep that in mind. AVAX saving this thing is what I have suspicions on what's happening with this. It dropped down to like 3,500 after this video within the next day, and then somebody put in 1,000 AVAX. Now, if you know the price of AVAX, it's been hovering around $90. So somebody put in, you know, $100,000, $90,000 on something that was dropping. So I think, you know, I don't know any whales or anything that would do something like that. I think it's the platform itself. They're trying to prop it up, and so it went down to 3,500, went back up to 4,500, but it's already dropped back down. So the balance right now is 2,588. So it's lost 2,000, even though it went up 1,000. So yeah, that one I'm gonna keep with the same risk level. I mean, I don't know if they're gonna keep propping it up. I'm not sure what they're gonna do with that. But that's what's happened. But yeah, there's tons of claiming rewards on this thing. So yeah, just something to be aware of. Phantom Fomo. I'm not sure if, yeah, we are starting to hit unlocks. Let's see what the balance did. It's dropped slightly. I think in the next day or so, next 24 hours, we're going to see movement there. But right now we are at, yeah, we just dropped by 200,000, which I say just. So it is at 3,433,814. So yeah, that's where Phantom Fomo is. I'm still saying it's very risky. I mean, yeah, basically these things are just super risky right now. I mean, you're getting up in the teens in the days. They're not, in my opinion, not worth, even putting anything into or back into. It's just the way these things are structured that it's the chances of something like this growing and not going down is highly unlikely. It's not something you should. It's not a risk I'm willing to take, and that takes a lot of risk to do that. Multi-AVAX, we haven't hit the unlocks yet. I think we're about a day away from that for both of these, but those are coming tomorrow. But I think with multi-matic tanking, I think these two people are just gonna take out of those two whenever they can. So I'm gonna drop those down. And they just don't have a large balance anyway. Let me go ahead and switch networks and I can tell you. The AVAX, it actually went up slightly. By what I mean slightly, by like, I don't know, 70 AVAX. So it is at 69.87, barely moved. And the Phantom, it also went up slightly to 204.828. So yeah, I mean, I think probably tomorrow we'll probably see those drop. I think people are going to be less willing to snooze, especially with people that have been having trouble with snooze on the Matic Stakr. So that's those ones. Phantom World, I think it's been just kind of level. I think it may even drop slightly. I always have to remember that one doesn't have thumbnails. Yeah, it dropped slightly. It is down to 155.059. Yeah, it's 10 days, but I don't know. It's got a 30-day, but they're not locks. They're withdraw at any time. But I think the break even on those is like 13, 14 days, and you'll at least break even if you don't withdraw every 24 hours. You'll probably get a little more if you might get 13 days if you withdraw every day because it compounds. It gives you a little bonus. So as long as that thing can last another 3-4 days, which I think it will, but after that people are going to be going past their initial and things will probably start dropping more rapidly. Yeah, it went down slightly, but I think we'll just keep it there. I mean, it's not something I'd put anything into right now because I think it's going to start dropping very soon. Phantom Stakr, actually I just pull it up right here. It's 261.171. Yeah, that one went down slightly. I'm not sure how it went down because these things are locked. There's no way to get out of those. It must have been from something else. So anyway, guys, yeah, I mean that balance is so low. I don't think that's going to be sustainable at all. Multi-chain Stakr, the AVAX version. Let me pull up the audit. These are ones that not the audit, the contract. These are ones that I put in the balance wrong last time. I've gone in since and changed those. Yeah, this one is interesting because they have those 14-day lock plans, but I think a lot of people are in on the unlocked ones. I think because they started a little higher, more people start getting in on those, so the balance actually dropped, and it is at 84.19. So yeah, I mean it dropped like 3,000 AVAX, which is a huge drop from a balance of 11,000. So yeah, I already have that one at 9. Remove sustainability to 2. Matic stake. I actually have to change my network to see these balances. I wish they would just publish them on their sites without having to change your chain that you're looking at. All right, we were at 1,744,000. It went up slightly. We are at 1,765,918. So it went up just slightly. I mean, not much. Yeah, it's 10 days. It's if you put in for 14 days, you're going to be up to 24 days long. So I think in the next, those 14 days are going to come unlocked soon in 4 days. So I'll just kind of leave that where it is. Matic Vault. Yeah, this one just never got a lot of traction, but I think it's still hanging on there. Yeah, it has dropped. It's dropped quite a bit. These ones are just week or daily withdrawals, and they're tough to overcome those daily withdrawals because they compound as well. So every time you withdraw, you get more and more each time, which is good for the investor. But if there's not a big enough contract balance, it kills things quick. So this one went down to 30,951. So I mean, honestly, I think it's been 7 days. That one's gonna be tough to make it to it's gonna be like 13-14 days to get your investment back. That I'm not sure is gonna happen, but that's just the way these things work. It's just kind of the fact of the game of ROI. So I'm gonna put that one up to a 9 and put sustainability at 2. AVAX stake. Man, there's so many AVAX stuff. And of course, it's part of these stake guys. They don't show the balance unless you connect to the network. This one, I mean, it went down just a tiny bit, which is crazy for being 5 days in with 14-day locks. But it went down a whole 300 AVAX. So we're down to 31,256. Because it went down slightly, I'm gonna up that a little bit. But I mean, 5 days in, I'm not looking to invest in something that old. 5 days is getting old for any new investment on these things. It's actually really old. Phantom One, USDC. I don't know. I think they didn't really think this one through. They wanted to do a version 2, but then they want to do stable coin to avoid the Phantom news, but they're still tied to Phantom because we're still on the Phantom network. I don't know. I think they should have like rebranded it and changed a lot of things about it. But because of that, I mean, it didn't get any much traction. Yeah, they say after 100,000 USDC, they're going to take out 4% of what they got out of that and stick it in the version 1 to help pay for those that were in version 1. But obviously that's not, I don't think it's even going to hit 100,000. You know, we're 4 days in and it just got up to 67,927. And even if it does get up to, you know, 100,000, they take 4,000 out. That takes away 4,000 from people in the USDC version, which will, you know, take 4% of a contract. That's a lot of people that aren't going to get anything out of the version 2. So it just, you know, keeps, you know, pushing that ball forward of who's going to be left with nothing. So that's just something to be aware of, because I'm going to move that up to 8 as it starts getting some traction. Avalanche Fomo, which is not the real Fomo. It went up to, actually went down slightly. It's at 44.98. Yeah, it's 5 days. It's getting old for something like this. Yeah. Multi-chain Stakr BNB. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of liking these things. They're just simple. They are just copycats of like the old Matic Stakr and stuff like that. But they did so well at just making them simple, switching the network. They staggered the release on the different chains, and with that, I think it's actually doing pretty well. See stake, we have to go to our contract because they don't have that on the front end. Yeah, it actually went up slightly. It's at 28.04. But we are 4 days old. Risk, let's put up to 7. I mean, we did go up, but all right. All right, we're at something we just launched today. We talked about this one, Avalanche Fomo. Balance, let's refresh the page. Blah, blah, blah. 74,650. I mean, that's a huge AVAX balance, especially in 14 hours. I'm interested to see if that will actually go up. Yeah, I wonder if it'll actually hit 100,000 AVAX. That'd be quite impressive. Risk right now is less than a day old, but of course, you know, getting in before that 24-hour mark is key. I would put that at a 5 right now. When I say risk of 5, that's middle of the road for even this high, very high risk category in DeFi. So this is middle of the line for those high risk investments. I'm not saying it's not risky at all, or it's middle of the road risky. It's middle of the road for the high risky subcategory. I'll just say that. You know, I would say as soon as it first launched in the first hour or so, I would have put that at like a 2 or a 1. But as the hours tick by, that risk goes up. Profit's a lot like all these other FOMO ones. Let's see where it's one. I'm gonna put it at 6. It'll keep going up, but let's put it at 6. Sustainability right now, we'll put it middle of the road. It was born today. sure they do not. Yeah, they don't put balances on the front end. I think those are key, because people don't understand, when something's dying, because they just see total staked, and when they see total staked, they don't understand. They don't understand where kind of where the project stands. They just see the stake balance and they think, "Ooh, man, it's got a really high stake balance." And you can see that when some of these die that don't have the balance on the front, you'll see people still depositing even though it has a balance of 0, and they deposit, and then everybody waiting for a deposit will go in there and eat that up really quick. But I think that's key, to have that balance right on the front so people understand what the status of the project is. One thing I'm learning is a lot of people still are not looking at the contract. They're not clicking on that. They're relying on the front end, and having that up front and center, and being transparent is key. Multi-chain Stakr Matic. I think this one did pretty well. Actually launched yesterday. Yeah, in a little over 24 hours, it has 1,111,544 staked. Risk, it is I think it's a little past a day. It's a little higher. Profit's about the same as all of these. Sustainability is getting older, so. Transparent. Sorry, I think I messed up on Avalanche Fomo. I did. They do have the balance right on the front. These guys do not. This one actually was born yesterday. Score. Yeah, I need to redo some of these formulas, by the way. See, it's the 21. All right, so you can see that, yeah, this higher one, it's higher because it has both. It's transparent. It shows people what's going on the front end, but it's also just slightly lower in risk because of the time frame. I'm not saying this is totally risk-free. Make sure you do your own research if you're looking to invest in one of these. And I'll add these other ones on there. I'm not sure how I'm going to add these multi-chain ones because they might be in their own category because they're hard to track because they have different contracts. The garbage heap, you notice this went up. I actually pulled all the Fury ones out because I think they need to be in their own category, because they're not really on the same level as something like Matic Stakr or Matic Fomo or all these daily Matic, or these ones that have 14-day locks and stuff like that. These Matic Fury ones had 7-day options, and that's about how long they all lasted. So it's not a good representation of most of the dapps that are out there. If there's any that have those 7-day options, one that I would be looking at is Phantom One USDC because they have a 7-day option. But that, I don't know, the last one they did lasted 18 days. So it'll be interesting to see how that one works. But I think those Fury ones, people were just kind of, doing a pump and dump into those and getting out as much as they could in those 7 days. Matic Meta, it died a few days ago. It lasted a whopping 7 days. I think it just didn't get the traction it needed. And also just having those, just a pure unlocked dapp historically doesn't do as well as ones with locked plans. That's just, yeah, just kind of how they work. Anyway, guys, that's kind of the risk scores. I'll be adding some more of these to the list, and I'm also going to be changing this algorithm. And I do have a domain and a site moving where I can just publish this stuff. So I'll be looking for that in the next week or two. Anyway, guys, that's kind of the update for today. If you've got any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below. If you like the video, like it. If you want to subscribe, hit the red button, and we'll catch you on the next one.